America first for my American children. America first for your American families. And America first for the first family of America. Eric Trump and Lara Trump, let's go! Welcome to the stage.
How's everybody doing? Do we not love this man right here? This guy is truly one of the greatest fighters. And guys, we love this state and we love this university and we love all of you.
I think Benny did okay. How did he do, guys? Yeah.
By the way, the Hillary clips had me laughing. I haven't seen that one in a while. I'm glad you pulled that out of the archives, if that makes sense.
You were in the audience, right?
I was back there, but I was watching it on the TV.
No, during the Hillary,
we
you'd
were
be in
in
jail.
the audience
we were
for
in the
that.
audience. We were in the audience.
Absolutely.
What happened?
Well, you should have seen Bill Clinton's face, by the way, right? So that's the night my father got all of Bill Clinton's accusers, right? And he told everybody, he goes, we're going to have this practice, a debate session. I want all the media to come to it. And they all walked in, and it was all of Bill Clinton's accusers. And honestly, he sat in this little penalty box during the debate, and his jaw was still on the ground. I'll never forget it. It was like the greatest troll in the history of political trolls. And then he knocked her out of the entire race with those three famous words. So that was an amazing night.
And I was there too. And I just want to say, it is so cool to be at Auburn. War Eagles! Amazing. Should we sit? Benny, are we going to stand for this?
Yeah, that's right.
Eric Trump seemed like he wanted us to stand for this whole thing. But that's okay.
I like you not being a full foot higher than me on stage.
That was my top selling point. Do you guys know when Eric and I first met, I had no idea, no offense, honey, that Eric Trump even existed. But I'm 5'11", flat-footed. And so then I put on these heels. I'm like 6'2", 6'3". And I noticed this guy was taller than I was. And I was like, this could possibly work out. And this Saturday is our 11-year wedding anniversary. Yeah, not bad.
What was the Eric Trump pickup line?
Oh, his pickup line? Do you want to tell the story, or would you like me to?
Why don't you go ahead and do it?
Only because of the media's there. I'll let you tell the story and get in trouble.
So I went to New York City. I moved there from North Carolina. I moved to New York City. Oh, shout out. Okay, hey, love that. To go to culinary school of all things. How did I end up in politics? I don't even know. This is nuts. And I met Eric out one night, and most of these guys I would meet out would find out I was in culinary school, and they'd be like, oh, well, maybe we should cook together sometime. I'm like, oh, that's very original. Not this guy. He looks at me, he pinches my side, and he goes, I bet all your food sucks.
By the way, she's got like a 12-pack, all right? It's like, most chefs have a little bit of body fat. She doesn't have too much body fat.
And that's all it took for me. The rest is history.
I was very curious at that moment.
Does she still cook for you?
No, she hasn't eaten anything. All right, so I'll give everybody...
You went to culinary school.
So when she was trying to woo me, right, she'd make me an ice cream cake and by the way, she is a seriously good culinary. She was a great chef. And so I'd always have these beautiful cakes. They were ice cream cakes. Love ice cream cake. They'd be made in the shape of a heart, camouflage. She'd make a machine gun and put it on top, do something really aggressive. It was a lot of fun. And she would write me this little love note on this cake. And she'd cut me a slate every single night. And then after we had been dating for exactly 6 months, I haven't gotten a freaking ice cream cake since. So it was like the greatest bait and switch in history, right? I thought I was going to marry somebody who was going to cook for me all the time. We order more damn takeout than any couple ever, so.
I'll tell you what I did. I may have stopped making you cakes, but I made you 2 beautiful children, didn't I?
You did.
Woo! I think you won out in the end. I think it was a fair trade.
What's the secret to a long and lasting happy relationship?
Well, I think that whenever you go through hell with people, when you're in the trenches, when it feels like the world is against you, that can either bring you closer together or it can tear you apart. And it brought us closer together, not just as a couple, but I think as a family. And I think you guys have all seen that, right? Our family is locked up tight. We are all behind one another all the time. We always have each other's backs. And I'll tell you, it's important to be there for one another.
You know, there's this huge misconception out there that, you know, you have to have a career or you have to be a mother, but they're independent of one another. That if you're a great mother, you can't be a great wife. If you're a great mother, you can't have a great career. If you have a great career, you can't be a great mother and wife. And that's totally false. You can do it all. And honestly, she's the epitome of that. She is an unbelievable mother. She drops the kids off at school every day, picks them up, never misses a game. She has an unbelievable career at Fox. What she did at the RNC is unbelievable. She's a big part of the victory, my father's victory, exactly 1 year ago today. And beyond that, she's a great wife.
Bring her back. Bring her back. Bring her back.
Oh, we need it. We need it.
Thank you.
How do you really feel, Benny?
Nice.
Well, I mean, this is what I feel. Laura, this is how I feel. Let's see if the thousands of people here tonight feel the same way. Was Laura Trump one of the single most effective RNC leaders in history? The most effective RNC leader in history. By a show of cheers, who wants Laura Trump back at the RNC?
Yeah.
Just saying, not trying to get you in trouble.
Wow. Thank you guys. That's very nice. Well, what I will say is that today is such a special day, November 5th. I mean, we all know 365 days ago was the greatest comeback in the history of American politics, right? And what's very interesting about the comeback is that we all probably remember as well another election 4 years before that in 2020. I can tell you this, nobody fought harder to win an election than those of us in our family, and no one was more upset when things turned out a different way than we all wanted than those of us in our family. Now, here's what I'll say. 81 million people were not so inspired by a guy who campaigned out of his basement that he got more votes than anyone in the history of America ever had. I don't know why you would ever need ballots in a suitcase, but okay. Now, here's what else I'll say. We left the White House on January 21st of 2021, and it was very sad. It was a very dark time. It was a very depressing time, and you guys in here probably all felt it as well. But what we didn't realize then, that I think everyone in here can agree with, is that things don't always happen on our time. They happen in God's time. And the incredible things that this president, our 45th and our 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, has been able to do this term in office would not have been possible with 2 back-to-back consecutive terms. We needed the 4 years. He needed the 4 years. America needed the 4 years because we saw what you get with the other side, and America said, absolutely not, hell no, America first, bring Donald Trump back, and we got him, guys.
By the way, should we see what he's doing right now? Should we try calling him?
Oh.
Can we do it?
Let's do it.
We
All right,
know
let's. Can we call Trump? Should we call President Trump?
Hold on 1 second.
It says Dad POTUS on his phone, just so you know. Let's see.
Hold on 1 second.
Hello? Hello?
So we have the most beautiful crowd of people, thousands and thousands of people at Auburn University. They are incredibly enthusiastic, and they absolutely adore this country. They adore God, and they adore you.
And Laura's doing a good job. And Auburn's a special place. I've been there many times. I know many people from that area, number one, and from that school. It's a great school. And we love Alabama. We won Alabama by 45 points, so we love it. But I just want to pay my respects to Charlie and Erica. These are two incredible people. And Erica, I've spoken to her often. She's just a spectacular person. And she's going to start where Charlie left off. And we should never allow this to happen. One of the greatest people we've ever known and was so responsible for our win. And we love Charlie's looking down on us right now, all of us. And Erica, you're there someplace and you just take care of yourself. We're with you all the way. And we're with the great people that my son and Lara are speaking to. And I love you all. As President of the United States, I love you all, and our country is doing great. We've never been in a position like this. The investments being made, all of the money coming in, and a lot of it's responsible that our great Charlie, I'll tell you what, he was the first in line, always the first in line to help. So I just want to pay my respects to Charlie and everybody, and we love you all. Thank you very much, everybody. And Eric, you better do a good job. These are smart people. They know if you're not doing a good job, they're going to report back to me. Good luck, everybody.
Good night, Pops. We all love you.
Incredible. A call in from USA, USA, USA.
You know, this is the spirit why the other side just doesn't have a chance in the future, guys. I mean, this is the group, this is the spirit that's going to save the United States of America. It's this heart, it's this soul, it's this movement. They thought they could kill our friend, and they thought they could lead all of us. You know, they tried to kill my father. They tried to kill my father twice. They tried to bankrupt us. They tried to take out our company. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history for doing nothing wrong. They tried to throw him off the ballots. They tried to strip our First Amendment rights, right? They stripped us from Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Why did they do that? They wanted to remove our voice. They wanted to remove his voice. They wanted to remove Charlie's voice. They sure as hell wanted to remove her voice. They wanted to remove my father's voice, and they wanted to turn down all of your voices. And we wouldn't allow them to do it. They tried to do it on every campus around the country. They tried to do it by silencing you, where if you wrote a paper that a teacher disagreed with, they would fail you. And you know what, guys? It's backfired in such a monumental fashion, and it's just cemented the vote of the youth of this country for the next 50 years, and they're getting exactly what they deserve.
Tonight is the anniversary of election night, and so it's probably a time to reminisce a bit. The 2024 election cycle. We played some of the greatest hits. Can you give us some behind-the-scenes stories that perhaps no one's ever heard? Or perhaps embellish something that we've all seen that we don't know about?
Well, I'll tell you, sitting backstage, what I was thinking about is that on November 4th of last year, which was the night before the election, we traveled to several different rallies across the country with my father-in-law, and we ended in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is where he ended in 2016, which is where he ended in 2020. So, of course, we had to end there in 2024. And we had been going all day. And I knew that last one, right? We were talking about it backstage. We said, he's not going to want this to end because this is going to be his last rally. And sure enough, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, and we were all backstage, basically asleep. This man has been on stage for hours at every rally all day long, and he is still going. And he all of a sudden he goes, what do you think? Do you want to hear from my kids? Should I bring my kids out? And we were all like, oh, we better get up. We better get it together. And he called us out on stage, and it was actually so amazing and such a moment that I'll never forget, standing there on stage with him, thinking about that being the last rally he would ever have. Except, what about the Trump 2028 hats?
What about them?
So do you want to know who actually created the Trump 2028 hat? She's standing right there. So Kim, she's been with me for a very long time. She's getting very fresh one day.
Yeah, Kim.
She comes up to me. She goes, hey, we've got to do something. We've got to mess with the media today. So we can do, the MAGA hats like print on demand. So she changes the 4 to an 8. And she brings it into my office and she throws me a hat. She's like, put it on. I'm just going to take a picture of you. So I put on this picture. This guy, about 2 seconds later, retweets the me wearing the Trump 2828 hat with no text or anything. Elon, 2 seconds after that, retweets this. This thing goes viral. I mean, you've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of likes and views and everything else on this hat. The media went freaking nuts, guys. It was so fun. Is your father trying to subvert democracy based on the fact that...
You understand the Constitution, right?
The Constitutional doesn't allow you to run for a third time. And I'm literally grabbing my phone, and I'm taking pictures as fast as I can of these emails coming in, and I'm just putting them up on my Instagram feed, right, over and over and over. I'm putting these laughing emojis on there. So after about 12 hours of them melting down, she's like, we've got to keep this going somehow. And she comes up with this. She's like, we need a slogan. So it became Trump 2028, rewrite the rules, right? And we posted that, and the same people from the media started melting down again. It was so great. I'm like, it's easier to troll the media in this country than it is to manipulate my 6-year-old son on Halloween with a bucket full of candy, right? It is so funny.
But isn't that what's so amazing right now is that, I said a few minutes ago that it was so important, I think, the 4 years in between, because how Donald Trump has flipped the script on the mainstream media is a thing of beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the first term, right? The first term, it was like he was on his heels the whole time. The whole White House was constantly having to field incoming. They were on defense all the time. They were getting it from the media, from the Democrats, from the Republicans in some respects as well. This time around, he just swats them off like gnats. They don't even know what to do with themselves. He's like, who are you, ABC? Fake news, sit down, next. It's so great. Isn't it great? This White House is 100% on offense, killing it every single day. And guess what? The American people are winning. It is so great to watch. I love it.
Eric, I would love to hear your story from the trail, something that comes to top of mind in 2024.
Oh, God. I mean, there's so many. Well, 2016, 2024, every story. I mean, guys, you got to remember, we're a political family that did not know, we were not a political family. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, right? I remember in 2016, I tell this story once in a while. My father calls me up one day on the cell phone. He goes, honey, I need you to go on Megyn Kelly tonight, all right? I need you to defend me. She's going to kill me on immigration. And I go, Pops, I'm happy to go on Megyn Kelly tonight, but I don't know a damn thing about immigration, right? I don't know a single thing. Really good at building buildings, really good at building golf courses, really good at running great properties around the world. I don't know a damn thing about immigration. Here I was on Megyn Kelly about 15 minutes later trying to defend his immigration policy. This is like 4 minutes after he came down the escalator. We're gonna build the wall. I'm like, great, this is gonna be great. I know nothing about building a wall. I mean, I can do it in construction, and we're really good at that. But think about the disadvantage we had. And Laura mentioned God before, and I have to go back to this for a second. Hillary Clinton raised $1.5 billion. My father self-funded his pretty much his entire first campaign. We didn't know what a delegate was. We didn't know what the Iowa caucuses were. We didn't know a damn thing about the game. We didn't know anything about Washington, D.C. My father had been in Washington, D.C. about 7 times, and that's when we built a hotel there, right? It had nothing to do with politics. We didn't know a damn thing about the system, and yet we were able to beat her at her own game based on heart and soul and work ethic and family. And you always have this kind of saying in politics, which is keep your kids, keep your family the hell away from political campaigns.
We didn't abide by that.
We did the exact, guys, we didn't have anybody. What was really funny about 2024, to kind of Benny's question, we had everybody coming up to me. I'd have congressmen every single day. I would love to endorse your father. Could you please arrange a time where I could come endorse your father, right? It actually helped them substantially more than it actually helped my father. And I'm laughing. I'm sitting there saying in 2016, we didn't have one single endorsement. It was like Don, myself, Laura, Benny, Janine Pirro, Charlie. A little bit, like Charlie. Other than that, we had no one, absolutely no one. It's just so funny how far that we've come in this little journey.
Well, here's what I'll say. This isn't a campaign trail story, but this is a story from in between the campaign. You put up a picture of what I'll argue is maybe the greatest mugshot in the history of America, Donald J. Trump's mugshot. Yeah. So that night that he got that mugshot taken, I was actually seconds away. I was all mic'd up to go on TV for something, and my phone rings, and it's my father-in-law calling me, and I'm like, oh my God, he just left getting the mugshot taken. And so I pick up the phone, and I was like, hi, I'm about to go on TV, so I'm all mic'd, so I didn't want him to say something, don't want everybody in the world to hear. And he goes, okay, honey, that's okay. You go ahead. And I was like, but wait, how are you? And he was like, isn't it crazy, honey? It's just freaking nuts. And then he stops and he goes, but it's also really cool. That is who our president of the United States is, guys. That's amazing. Yeah. I was like, what a badass. Like, he just doesn't even care. And he goes, and you know who else has a mugshot? Elvis.
He would say the greatest lines. He'd say the same thing, honey, is it the first time that getting indicted was great for a politician's polls? I'm like, in this case, I think it was. I mean, think about it. Every time they indicted because people understood their game. After Russia, right after the dirty dossier, after the impeachment 1, impeachment 2, after going after Kavanaugh, after the constant games, after the censorship, after the gag orders, people understood exactly what they were doing to him, right? Every day that they kept him in a courtroom, people understood the hypocrisy, right? They were coming after us, but they wouldn't do a damn thing to Hunter Biden, right? A guy who had a laptop from hell, a guy who lived a very dirty life, a guy who, drugs and so many other things. But yet, so there were only so many times you could cry wolf before every American caught on. We all caught on to their system. And so all of a sudden, they would go and indict him again. They would get a mugshot, and all of a sudden, his polls would go up by another 10%. And he would joke about it. He goes, this is the first time in political history where getting indicted actually helped a person's polls. And he was 100% right.
And I would actually argue that whether we're talking about the indictments, obviously mugshot, how did it all work out for old Fanny down in Fulton County, Georgia, by the way? How did it work out for her? How's it working out for Letitia James? Maybe not so great. Maybe they made some bad decisions. Whether it's that, whether it's all of the ways they try to take him off the ballot, the mud they would sling his way every possible chance, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all of these different things, and obviously 2 assassination attempts. We all know why Donald Trump is the 47th president. It's because God wanted him to be in the White House to save this country and save the world. Because this man has solved 8 conflicts around the world, and he hasn't even been in office for an entire year. It's amazing. Peace in the Middle East. Who thought we'd see it? Donald J. Trump brought it to you. Amazing.
How much did he love working at McDonald's?
How much did he love McDonald's?
Working at McDonald's.
Well, I think he knew the menu better than most people. Benny, you've been on the plane with a lot of McDonald's. You've eaten McDonald's plenty of times with us. Like, he knew that menu cold.
You should tell everybody here, honey, the story of your dad doing the drive-thru through McDonald's.
Oh, God. So long before politics, we were buying a golf course, and so we're in this white Rolls Royce of his, and we're going down the Jersey Turnpike, and
Donald Trump is driving.
And he's driving. And by the way, we're doing like 45 miles an hour, and literally people are looking in the window, and they're literally, I think, giving us the finger. But he's like, everybody loves me, honey. Look at this. Everybody loves me.
They're all honking for me.
And so we go down there. We do the whole tour of the golf course. Talk to all the members. It was great. And on the way back, he goes, honey, we got to go to McDonald's. And I go, I can't drive 45 miles an hour down the Jersey Turnpike. I'm driving. He goes, but we have to go to McDonald's. So we go to McDonald's in this seedy town in this white Rolls Royce of his, and we pull in, and people are like, that's Donald Trump. He's like, yeah, we'll take 4 Big Macs. We'll take 6 orders of fries. It was very funny. We ended up flying back up the Jersey Turnpike. I'm like, I am driving this car back to New York because there's no way we're going to be there for a 3-hour period of time. We had so much fun together, but he knows that menu so cold. And by the way, tell me that wasn't the ultimate troll. Right? You literally had a political candidate in this country who literally lied about working at McDonald's to try and become more relatable to the American people. My father never played that game, right? And I always hated this. And this happened on both sides of the political aisle. But you see these guys show up at the Iowa State Fair, and they were in a brand new, pair of Carhartts. The stickers were still on it. They'd clearly never been worn. They were wearing a pair of work boots, the same thing. They were getting blisters because they'd never actually worn the things before. They would ride in on a Harley that somebody would give them 200 yards away from the event to try and fit in and look cool. My father would show up in a suit and his red tie in Iowa. He flew his helicopter in one time, right? And he's literally giving kids like rides around the fairgrounds. He never pretended to be somebody he wasn't, while you had all these other politicians that were totally phonies that were always trying to put on a show. And America adored that. America adored the fact that he wasn't adapting himself to try and be relatable to others. And yet he became kind of this blue-collar president to so many people, right? Because he was so unique to himself, and he had backbone, and he was on PC, and he said what everybody was thinking, but he did it in his own unique individual way, and he never cowtailed, and he never tried to cater to others. You know, he was just himself. He wasn't fake. He wasn't a phony. And I think the people in this room and the people of this country were sick and tired of the phony politicians. And I think so many of them have become extinct. And by the way, let me just say one last thing. He's become the greatest rhino hunter in the history of rhino hunters. He's killed every rhino in Washington, D.C., and he sent them all packing. And honestly, our party should be so thankful for that.
I can't believe you didn't think that hot sauce in Hillary's purse was authentic, honey. How could you possibly think that?
The assassination attempt. This is something, obviously something horrible happening on the left, where they become violent. Whether it's Luigi Mangione, they're permissible of murdering your political opponent or somebody you disagree with, and they venerate it and they celebrate it. And it's the reason why Charlie Kirk is not able to be on stage with us tonight. And it's the reason why your father got hit in the head with a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. What is that? What's going on the left? And can you give us a little bit of an insight, perhaps, since it is a Memorial Day and it is also such a historic day and an anniversary, what was that like for your family?
Well, certainly the lack of God for these people. It is pure evil. That's exactly who they are. It's probably the breakdown of the family system. It's a whole lot of societal problems. And it's a group of people who have just flat out lost the argument, right? Isn't it really amazing? I mean, just go back. The entire Democratic game the entire time was identity politics, right? First it was you're a racist. Then it's you're anti-Semitic, right? It's like, well, he's not racist. He's certainly not anti-Semitic. There's never been a person who's been better for the Jewish state than my father ever, right? And then it's really interesting. Then it was, well, you must be sexist then, right? Because those two narratives, and it's like, that's kind of funny because Kellyanne Conway, his first, campaign manager who won in 2016 was a woman, and Lara Trump, who ran the RNC, was a woman, and, Susie Wiles, who was the second campaign manager, was a woman, but, he must be very sexist. And then it's, fine, he's not a sexist, but, he must be a fascist, and yet, who dresses up in black and takes a rifle, at a college campus and sits on a roof and shoots somebody that I truly loved, and somebody that Benny truly loved, and somebody that Laura truly loved, and somebody that we all truly loved, as you engaged in free speech? Like, is the person dressed in black holding a rifle on a roof shooting over the heads of college kids who are engaging in free speech, does that look like a fascist, or does the person who is courageous enough to go to those campuses and debate anybody on that campus because we're right on the issue, who's the fascist? It's sick, guys. It's sick. And that's why we need God in society, because God would cure so many of these problems if you had faith and you had morality and you had religion in your life. If you had good family, you had good values, you had good principles, you were raised correctly. We've got to return our society to that. And that's why family values matters. And honestly, that's why community matters. And that's why events like this matter.
I would also add to that there's been a bit of a normalizing of this really awful rhetoric about people with whom you disagree politically. And I'll go back to Maxine Waters, who many years ago, at the beginning of the first term for President Trump, said that if you see any of those people at a gasoline station, you get up in their face, you let them know they are not welcome. It starts with stuff like that. And then it continues on where these people who have a platform and understand they have a platform are actively spewing hateful rhetoric, telling lies, and inciting this kind of behavior and making it feel somewhat normal. After my father-in-law was nearly killed on stage in Butler, I really genuinely thought, okay, this is a moment where people are going to say enough. We almost saw something really awful happen, and something really awful did happen to Corey Comparator, a father, a firefighter, a husband who we lost, who didn't deserve that at all. And sadly, the hours later, there were people saying, oh, that was fake. That was all staged. When you just normalize something like that, it makes it, sadly, Benny, I think a lot easier for people to justify doing things that are absolutely horrific. And you asked us, what was it like watching that back on July 13th of last year? I mean, it's a moment I'll never forget, and I'll be really honest. When I heard what happened to Charlie, before we really knew what had happened to Charlie, I instantly was taken back to the feelings we had watching television. Eric and I were watching the rally that day, and I was actually making dinner for our kids, and I was so stunned. I was peeling a carrot. My daughter turned around and she goes, look who's on TV, Mom, it's Grandpa. And so I look down, I peel a carrot, and then I look back up and I see he's not on stage anymore. I don't know where he is. Do you know I held that carrot and that carrot peeler in my hand for about an hour? Because I was so shocked. Eric and I were running around. We ran in, we changed the channel because we didn't want our kids to see it, trying to figure out what's going on. But it was terrifying, and thank God that turned out differently. But we were so close to having everything changed in our country. And unfortunately, our friend Charlie did have everything changed. But here's the good news. You're here tonight. We're all here tonight. We are going to carry Charlie's legacy on. What he started, we will finish, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt about it.
Let's just close with this question, then we'll open it up for questions from the audience. Charlie Kirk, a good Charlie story, something uplifting, a profound effect perhaps on your life. I'll begin. I've never seen your brother Don or your father share so passionately their faith in Jesus Christ from the stage at Charlie's memorial. That was a remarkable thing to see, and something that I've never seen it before. And that was the #1 most apostolic event in human history. That was seen by hundreds of millions of people, if not billions. What a wonderful tribute, and what a powerful voice of a martyr.
Think that he filled every church in this country. You couldn't even get into church in this country on the following Sundays or ever since then, all because of the action of one lunatic. I mean, think about that. I'll never forget. So about 10, 11 years ago, I met Charlie. He came in. He was 21 years old. He came into my office in New York. He came into Trump Tower, 25th floor, and he met us. Somebody introduced the two of us, and he told me exactly what he wanted to build. And at that time, he only had a couple branches on a couple campuses. He didn't have the infrastructure. He didn't have the footprint. He didn't have the reach. Turning Point was 1/1000th of what it is certainly today. And he goes, Eric, I'm going to literally change the hearts and minds of youth in this country, and I'm going to start one campus at a time, and I'm going to go across the campus. I go, Charlie, how are you going to do it? He goes, I'm going to invade the student body governments. I'm going to get every elected conservative. They're going to become elected, student body leaders. I'm going to go one by one, and we're going to build this apparatus. And listen, a lot of BS comes through our office doors, right? I hear about a different project every single day that'll probably never get built, and a lot of grand ideas. And I'm saying, wow, this kid's incredible. This guy is really incredible. I mean, pretty lofty goal. I'm not sure if anybody can succeed. How do you change the hearts and minds of youth in this country that has been so poorly indoctrinated by so many teachers, by, not here because you've got a great institution, but by revisionist history? I mean, every single day they're trying to edit our textbooks, change the textbooks. How are you going to go about doing this? And he laid out the plan. And why I say it's deja vu is you're sitting here with somebody missing who was a person that we loved and a person we knew. But every single thing he told me a decade ago, right now, just over a decade ago, has come true, guys, has come true. And you are living proof of it. The fact that we are here, and the fact that over 100,000 chapters have applied to Turning Point to become chapters. And this movement, and the churches, and the stadiums, and the auditoriums, and the masses of people, and the lines. I mean, the lines were forming for this event as we were leaving Florida, and they were long. What does that say about Charlie's legacy? And so for me, it's absolute deja vu. I mean, everything he said he was going to create, he did so times 10. And he is so much bigger right now than he could have ever possibly known. And that's why he's going to live in our heart. And if you think that by taking his life, they were going to silence this movement, they did the exact opposite of what they intended. Be careful. You know, there's something called the law of unintended consequences. The law of unintended consequences. It certainly happened in 2020 when they thought by rigging an election, you know, that was going to be to their benefit, right? No one actually believes that Joe Biden got 16 million more votes than Barack Obama did in 2012. Give me a break. I mean, you know, not everybody might love, you know, Barack Obama, but the guy was charismatic and he could formulate a sentence, unlike Joe Biden, who literally hid in a basement, right? It was their law of unintended consequences. What they did to Charlie Kirk was another law of unintended consequence, and it was the biggest single mistake that they could have ever made.
So I'll actually never forget, Charlie had asked me to go speak at an event at my alma mater, NC State, and we were on the way there. I had just landed in the plane and, you know, getting off at the Raleigh airport, and he called me and he goes, "We got a bit of a problem. Turns out there are a lot of people who are very upset that we're coming here tonight." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's not a big deal." He's like, "No, the campus security is not totally sure what to expect. They don't know if they can keep us safe. And so, you know, if you want to call it off, if you want to not come, I'll totally understand it. I'll continue on. I'll probably go and speak anyway. But if you don't want to come, then, you know, I get it." And I was like, no, I'm going to come. I'm not going to leave you to hang out here. What was so amazing to me is that there was not a point at which Charlie was ever going to say, we shouldn't do this. He was dedicated to going on that campus. He was dedicated to making sure that the conservatives on the NC State campus felt like they could come out, felt like they could share this moment. And he was going to go. And I'll tell you what, we had an incredible event. There were some lunatics outside, but that's okay. They stayed outside. We had a great event. And you know what? I really appreciated his fight in that moment, because I do think a lot of other people would have said, "Oh, we got to call this off. I don't know." He was not willing to do that. And I'm so glad that you guys are not willing to give up either. The fact that you're here tonight speaks volumes. We are 1 year out from the biggest election win I think we can all remember, the biggest comeback, as we talked about already. But we're also a year out from midterms. And I want to say this right now. We cannot leave anything to chance. If you take nothing away from yesterday, these elections, we're in blue areas in New York City, in Virginia, and in New Jersey. But the fight is not over. And it takes all of us in here to do that. So as Charlie did on that NC State campus, we're going to continue on. We're going to continue fighting. And I'll tell you what, if everybody in here does what I know we can all do, we're going to continue winning as well.